Case with the most horrific twists you never knew. Cold case. Discover the most horrific twists of this case you never knew. A 16-year-old girl was found murdered in her bedroom, despite none of her family hearing anything during the night. The case remained unsolved for 31 years before a breakthrough occurred, resulting in a surprising turn of events. So buckle up and get ready for a ride through one of the most horrific and shocking cases you've ever heard. The lifeless body. Fawn Cox was born on March 24, 1973 in Kansas City, Missouri. Growing up in a tough residential neighborhood, she helped care for her younger siblings and attended church regularly. At 16, she took a part-time job at an amusement park to earn extra money during the summer. On July 26, 1989, after finishing her shift, Fawn returned home and went to bed early to prepare for work the next morning. The following day, her family discovered her lifeless body with visible bruises on her neck. Despite calling an ambulance, Fawn had already passed away hours prior. The police investigation. Medical experts determined that Fawn Cox had been strangled and abused. Despite being killed in her room, no one in the house heard anything due to an old loud air conditioner. Police discovered that the attacker likely entered through a second-story window, which had been left open due to the heat. The police found hairs, blood stains, and semen on Fawn's bedsheet, as well as missing items from the house. Despite this evidence, the police were unable to identify the suspects due to the underdeveloped DNA forensics of 1989 and the difficulty in obtaining witness statements in the poor criminal-ridden neighborhood. The DNA evidence. Following the tragic murder of Fawn, the case remained unresolved until a witness came forward with valuable information that led the police to 3 teenage suspects. Despite the discovery of stolen items and a confession, the case hit a standstill due to inconclusive DNA evidence and the retraction of the confession. Years later, advancements in DNA technology prompted a reopening of the case, with the suspect's DNA being subjected to more advanced testing. However, none were found to be a match for the DNA samples taken from the crime scene. The case remains unsolved, and the family continues to await a breakthrough via DNA matching to bring justice and closure. The twist. But here's where the story takes a twist that no one saw coming. The investigation into the murder of Fawn Cox had been slow and frustrating, with police showing little urgency. However, a breakthrough was finally achieved in late 2020, when funding from the FBI allowed police to submit DNA samples from the victim's room for analysis. This ultimately led to the identification of the victim's cousin, Donald Cox, as the perpetrator of the crime. Donald had a troubled past and had spent much of his life in jail for various misdemeanors, including theft and drug possession. Unfortunately, DNA samples were not routinely collected from such criminals during the time period when he committed his crimes. Donald passed away in 2006, but a sample of his DNA was preserved during an investigation into his death due to suspicious circumstances. The police closed the case without any further charges against the original suspects, and Fawn's family believed that Donald may have acted alone in the act. Nonetheless, the family and their neighbors had long held the belief that the original suspects were guilty, and treated them accordingly throughout the years of the unsolved case. The aftermath. Sister Fawn revealed that the lives of the original suspects were severely impacted by the accusations, ultimately leading to their ruin. Additionally, it was later discovered that the police initially became aware of the suspects through a tip from one of their family members who had noticed a stolen item, a Nintendo set-top box, in their possession. This information was already widely known in the neighborhood and covered in the news. Despite this, there was insufficient evidence to prove their guilt. The victim's family, after years of waiting, now have closure as the identity of the perpetrator was finally revealed. However, the individual lived for 17 years without facing any consequences for their actions, and remained in contact with their family until their addiction to illegal substances ultimately led to their demise. This case is a prime example of the importance of DNA evidence in solving cold cases. It also underscores the devastating impact of violent crime on families and communities. But it's important to remember that justice was eventually served in this case, even if it took several years. What do you think about this case? Let us know in the comments below.